Hey friend, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here listening to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. Here we talk all about the ins and outs of designing knit and crochet patterns and running a business that makes it all possible. I'm Jessica, your host, knitting pattern designer, design mentor, and the friend in your ear. Can't wait to dive right in. The Pattern Design Circle podcast is sponsored by the Pattern Design Circle, a membership community for knit and crochet pattern designers that are feeling lost, lonely, or frustrated in their business. It connects you with a supportive community that's always eager to answer your questions and help you through the hard times. And there's loads of resources and activities specifically catered to business and designing. Sound like your jam? Check it out at snickerdoodleknits.com/design-circle. That's snickerdoodle, like the cookie, knits, knits.com/design-circle. All right, let's get into it. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. I am so excited to be chatting with you, as always. And like the last several episodes, a quick little disclaimer. Yes, I'm sick. Yes, I'm congested. I apologize for my voice. I hope that it's not too distracting or annoying or anything like that. But today's topic, I feel is a little silly, and at the same time, I feel like it's super valuable and important. And I guess vulnerable transparency. It's taken me running my business to really kind of try to embrace silly, fun things. I'm the oldest of 4 children. 2 of my siblings are quite a lot younger than me, and I always was the responsible, mature one. And so I struggle to have fun, I guess. And I know this is something that several other people relate to, which is why I share it. And so anyway, maybe even I struggle with not being the ideal perfect person. And, we've talked a lot about, like, in previous episodes recently, even about perfectionism, about being workaholic, all these kinds of things that are easy to feel like that's what you're supposed to be. But embracing other aspects of life have been valuable and important. And so trying to embrace my little, like, fun, immature side has been a journey of its own. But if you watch the visual podcast, my little clip at the beginning when the intro is playing, I have like me like sort of dancing, and it's uncomfortable, but it's fun. And so I included it in there because it's something I'm trying to embrace more. Anyway, all that to say is it feels like a silly topic to be talking about. But I think the lessons will really resonate. And I think it's a conversation of noticing our own habits and tendencies and choosing, is this something that I want to keep doing? Is this how I want to keep working and, interacting with the world as a whole and as a person, as a human, but also in my business and as a business owner. So today we're talking about 7 lessons that I recently learned from a mindless game on my phone. It's nothing super exciting or special. The game itself, it's just like a matching game where the goal is to match things in sets of 3, and you have a limited amount of time, and there's lots of things to choose from, and you have to find the right things. And everything that you choose, you have to match in pairs of 3. So whether they're the target items or not, that's just background as to how this game works and why it led me to these lessons. So I've been sick the last couple of weeks. For the first week or so, I was so miserable that I really, it made no sense for me to try to work. And so anyway, when I'm just once I got past the point of sleeping nonstop, I started playing this game on my phone. Again, I've played it before. I and so, you know, for the first few days, of course, it was just mindless and stuff. And then I was playing it the other day, and I started getting back into work stuff slowly. And I was sitting there, just looking for something to numb my mind, and like also keep it busy, kind of, I guess. And so I'm playing this game, and suddenly I start like having all of these sort of epiphanies. I don't know if they're so powerful that I would call them epiphany, but just little lessons that I was starting to notice. And I was like, this is really, really interesting. Maybe I'm getting some profit out of this now, besides just relaxing and numbing my mind. So I decided to share these lessons that I've been learning from this game. So I described what the game was with matching things. And so you have certain items that you're supposed to find and match and collect them all before the time runs out. And quite a while ago, when I was playing the game, I decided it was a lot more fun to match all of the items instead. I was like, that's like, I feel so much more accomplished then. Like, I've done it all. And I realized the other day playing this, like, wait, I've seen this before in my life. If you're not familiar, there's ideology that when you do things a certain way in one part of your life, you likely do it that way in several parts of your life. Like the way that you interact as a human in your business probably has some similarities to the way that you interact with yourself, interact with the world as a human in relationships, in friendships, in parenthood, in all of the different kinds of things. So anyway, so here I'm like, I find so much pride in just doing all of it, getting it all accomplished. And even though I know that I actually get a lower score from it, because the faster you do it, the higher your score is. But I'm just like, oh, just like feeling so accomplished, getting this all done. And spoiler alert, I tend to approach life that way in general. I am very much a let's do all the things. Like I have 3 billion ideas. Let's do all of them in the next 2 days. And that can be problematic in a lot of ways in business. And one, creates a lot of overwhelm. Two, it means chasing a lot of ideas that actually weren't that valuable and not working towards a goal or my purpose or my mission means a lot of sidetracked paths. And that's not to say sidetracked paths aren't good or okay, or aren't okay. But when a sidetracked path takes you away from your goal, is it worth it then? And so I know that I've done a lot of sidetracked goals that later it's like, or sidetracked paths where later it's like, I actually didn't feel very aligned. I just like followed this idea that I was super excited about. And my problem is that I have a bajillion ideas. So that's how my brain works. And so wanting to do all the things, it's exhausting. So I said overwhelm. I think I said burnout. It's exhausting. And it just isn't very realistic. Can you do all of the things and do them well? Can you do them to the standard that you want to do them? Can you do all of the things and still be the person that you want to be in other parts of your life? And so I know for me, in a lot of ways, often it has meant I'm doing all of the things in my business and then I'm dropping things elsewhere in my life that actually are more important to me, or like I would want to have more value on. I would rather not drop those things. But I'm so focused on doing all the things in my business that then it overtakes all my time and all that kind of thing. So, and then doing all the things, it results in more stress. And I noticed this in, just this kind of pointless game. I'm not going to say that it has a whole lot of worth and value beyond a sort of entertainment kind of aspect. Um, but it's like I'm like more stressed out now playing this game because I've decided I want to master all the things. It's like, does that make sense? Am I playing this to be stressed out? What is my goal here? Um, and so I started to realize that, wait, what if I just focused and got the things it tells me to get and let that be enough? And so we hear a lot, or at least I've heard a lot, the term imperfect action, and like the saying that imperfect action is better than nothing. That's not a direct quote. I don't remember the actual quote. But anyway, the idea is doing something partially or imperfectly is actually very valuable. Folks like myself who tend to be a bit more perfectionist can struggle with that. It can be hard to leave something partially done. And really interesting, we had a guest inside of Pattern Design Circle earlier this year, and one of her recommendations, this was kind of like on a productivity time management kind of discussion. One of her recommendations was to take the task list that you've written for a certain project and challenge yourself to remove 50% of those tasks. What would happen if you only put in half the work that you think you need to? And that's still something I'm grappling. Yeah, I'm struggling with. I'm like, it's not done then. This is not going to be perfect then. But the point is, we can put a whole lot more stress and overwhelm and work on ourselves than actually is necessary. So what if, rather than trying to do all of the things, we focused and had intentionality? That was a podcast episode I've recently talked about. This episode that you're listening to right now is episode 49. That was in episode 47 episode 46, where I talked about focus and intentionality kind of being the solution to hustle culture and busy work. So yeah, it was like, wait, what? I'm playing a game right now, and now I'm getting the life business lessons of how I should be running my life, and it's actually valuable and things like that. So that was lesson number 1. All right, so then lesson number 2 is this idea of addiction. And I know I recently on one of the episodes talked about addiction to stress, addiction to productivity, addiction to work in general. And for me specifically in this case, it's, okay, so I'm playing this game and it's like, okay, once I start playing, at what point do I stop? And many times, I won't admit how many times, I have been playing and I'm like, okay, one more. We know this. We know how this works as knitters and crocheters. Who am I kidding? I'll be like, all right, just do one more level. I'm just gonna play one more game. That's it. I'll be done. And then once you finish that game, it's like, nah, I'll keep playing 10 more. It's like, what? What? This makes no sense. So it's kind of just this like addictive behavior. And there's a lot of things that we could go into here with digging into why. What is it that I'm trying to get out of this? And mindset things. And is there something that I need to be supplementing my life with somewhere else so that I'm not feeling addicted here? And I don't know, all sorts of things. But this is just, we're gonna keep it basic here. Because I'm not certified to talk about all the other things. And so it's this idea of like, okay, I keep playing it, even though I know I don't really want to, in the sense of bigger picture goals, in the sense of, okay, I really want to get these things done today, or okay, I really need to go to bed right now, because if I don't, in the morning when I wake up, I'm going to be really tired. But somehow there's just this addictive mechanism where we're like, I'll just keep going. Just keep going. This is fun. I'm enjoying myself. Um, and then the other addictive part is I think many of us experience this on our phones, maybe even on your computer, where you mindlessly go to a certain spot. So, have you ever gone on your phone for a certain purpose? You think you're gonna go to a certain app, and whether you're talking to somebody, you're just feeling distracted, or whatever the case is, you open up your phone, and before you know it, you're looking at not the app that you're going to open. So there was I don't remember what it was. I think I was going to open Google one time, and I opened Google Maps. Like I was going to open Safari, and I opened Google Maps. I was like standing there talking to somebody, I'm like, I have maps open. um, but I know for a lot of us, we see this as a habit where we tend to open email, or we tend to open Instagram, or tend to open TikTok, apps like that. Now we tend to check frequently. And so then when we open our phone, we just automatically refer to going to there and automatically just open it. And so now I've been playing this game enough that that's become another one of my places that I just go to and open, and it's easy. And so whether it's mindful or not, it's like just this addiction to keep playing. And maybe mindful is not the word, whether I'm like conscious or not, whether it's intentional or not. um but so, and even if it is intentional, it's like just this addiction, like, oh, I just want to play it. So I keep opening the app, keep wanting to numb my brain, keep doing the same thing that's wasting time and making me annoyed that I'm wasting time. And so I realized, this is a lot like Instagram for me. Not just opening the app and scrolling through it, but in my business in general, um, seem to have this is like I'm just like admitting all my terrible things that I do. But I guess that's why we're here, huh? This is why we have a podcast so that we can learn from our mistakes, right? And hopefully you can learn from my mistakes so you don't do all the same things. Or if you're doing the same thing, maybe we can go through it together. Anyway, I have this thing in my business where I'm kind of addicted to Instagram as a marketing strategy. I've been thinking for a long time that I should focus my energy elsewhere, especially like my podcast. And yet, Instagram is that place where when I'm thinking about marketing, where I'm thinking about content, that's what I go to. That is the thing I open up in my brain. I first think about Instagram. I first think about how I'm going to share it on Instagram. And my first priority oftentimes when creating content tends to be Instagram, even though I know that that's not the strategy I really want to focus on. It's just the tab that I keep opening up, and that's figuratively. And so it's like that app that I just keep opening again and again because I know that's what I'm familiar with. I know that I like it. I know that I like Instagram. I know that I have people there. And so it feels easier. And so this kind of reminder of like it being a bit addictive is reminding me of how I'm treating Instagram as a marketing strategy and how just like when you're building a habit or changing a habit, it has to be very intentional to stop doing that thing and replace it with something else. And I don't know that I want to stop Instagram altogether. Like I said, I like Instagram. But I do know I'm addicted to it as a marketing strategy. So that is my addiction in my business. Then here I just talked in the last episode about kind of like this idea of when to ask for help, when to actually look for a course or a coach or things like that to actually help you. Um, and so this is along that line. So we have we have so many ads in our life. We have ads on social media, we have um, ads on games, we have ads all over the place. And so I was just thinking about the ads, listening to one of the ads and or several of the ads actually, and how convincing they can be. And sometimes when you're listening to it or watching it and you're like, going to solve my problems. It's going to be perfect. It's going to, and that's what they're designed to do. They're trying to get you to sell, obviously. But it's really easy to get caught up in their marketing, thinking that it will be the next cure, the next solution, the next perfect happy ending to your life problems and struggles. And especially the ads that I was looking at, I'm like, I don't know if I actually trust this. I don't know if it's actually true. But it's like there's this part of part of me that's like, why to fix all of my issues? And even things like I don't know, all the dumb ads. I shouldn't say dumb. All of the ads that I am very skeptical of around making money off of playing games. um, and sometimes it's like, oh, I should do that. I could make money off of that. That would be amazing. And then it's like, all right, is that actually solving anything? Is that actually like, what would be the reason for that? Does that actually, like, if my problem is that I want to, let's say, I want to be making more money in my business, does this solution of playing games to make money, is that actually going to make me feel better about my money, where my money stands in my business right now? No. And so that wouldn't actually solve this issue. This is the problem that I'm wanting to solve. Um, and another ad was for clothing, like just how good and amazing you would feel in it and things like that. And um, I guess it's one of those things where we know as marketers emotional connection, emotional understanding somebody's struggles and telling them. And so they're like, if you don't feel good in your body, you need to wear this clothing. It's going to make you feel amazing. And is that actually the solution, or is there something else? Mindset work, healthy eating, things like that that would actually make me feel better. Like, are we putting a band-aid on this, or are we actually solving it? And so, um, in my note here that I wrote to myself, it's like it's just a band-aid, but the band-aid probably doesn't even stick. Like it's like not even, it's like trying to say that this is a solution, but it's not even fixing the problem at the root, like actually solve the problem. You have to get to the root cause of it and really, really solve it. And so how many times in our businesses have we felt like this thing is going to be the solution. This is going to make me rich. This is going to make me famous. This is going to, whatever the thing is for you, whatever the goal is for you, or you think, okay, just this one thing, it's going to fix everything. It's going to solve everything. And is that actually addressing the problem, solving the problem, or is it kind of just creating a distraction piece, a band-aid, numbing your mind kind of thing? So I guess that little lesson is really about really identifying what the problem is in order to create the proper solution for it, and not getting caught up in all of the things that what we call shiny object syndrome or squirrel mentality of just getting distracted and thinking all of these things are going to be our magical solution when we know that they're not. Okay, next lesson is this idea of, here I'm playing this game and I am I'm doing it because it makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something. My fingers are busy, my mind is busy. And it's this idea of like being busy rather than being productive. And so sometimes I favor being busy over being productive. And um, you might notice, I think quite a few of my recent episodes were actually inspired, maybe subconsciously, by these lessons because we recently had an episode, um, episode 46, talking about just like busy work, idea of wanting to feel busy. And so realizing that sometimes I'd rather be busy than productive, or not so much that deep down I would rather that, but my actions are showing that. What I'm actually doing is working towards moving towards busy work and being busy rather than being productive. And so this idea of doing things that are maybe a bit distracting, things that feel easy instead of really working towards goals, really doing the things that are going to move the needle and um, bring my definition of success. And this isn't to say, this is absolutely not to say that there isn't room also for the things that aren't productive. I think we absolutely need to have time in each day where we have downtime. We can sit and relax and think about nothing, where we're not worried about being productive. But problem is when that comes into our business and whatever the reason is, identify the reason. I do encourage you to do that. But sometimes the reason is overwhelm. Sometimes the reason is confusion. Sometimes the reason is like lack of focus. Whatever the reason is, sometimes we find ourselves keeping ourselves busy and it's not productive. It's keeping us busy. We're doing lots of work in our business. Is it making any progress? Maybe not. So really paying attention to what the actual purpose of our work is, like each individual task and project. Is this actually productive in terms of my goals, productive in terms of what I want in my business? All right, next lesson is that I can convince myself just about anything I want to. So I can convince myself that I need to be spending my time playing this game because I need to just relax and chill out. I need some self-care time. I just need to not think about things for a bit. I can convince myself just one more game, just 10 more minutes. It's not that bad. I can convince myself of whatever I want. I can also convince myself, hey, this actually isn't worth my time and my energy right now. I need to get off of here right now. I can convince myself that I need to go to bed so I'm not tired in the morning. But I can convince myself either way, regardless of what all of the facts are, what all the data shows me, I can convince myself of just about anything. And this is true in marketing and business as well. You can convince yourself that any strategy that you want to try, you can convince yourself that it's going to work. You can convince yourself that it's the next best solution. You can convince yourself that it's in alignment, even when your body's telling you that it's not. We can convince ourselves of so many things. Our mind is so powerful, and we can use that for our good, and we can use it for harm, unfortunately. In terms of, we can convince ourselves of things that really aren't healthy for us mentally, physically, emotionally, aren't healthy for our business. There's a lot that we can convince ourselves. And so this really was just kind of a lesson to myself of just because I've justified it doesn't mean that it's the best solution. Just because I've justified spending all of this time creating this Instagram reel or creating whatever, doesn't mean that's actually fixing this problems that I have or addressing the problem that I have. So be careful, I guess, of what we are convincing ourselves of. And I guess this really, everything just comes back to checking in with ourselves, right? Of, is this actually what I want to be doing? Is this actually how I want to achieve my goals? Is this actually the right next step? All right, 2 more lessons left. And I don't know, this just gets more complicated. First of all, is something positive. I keep trying even when I fail. I am stubborn. I am determined. And so if something fails, I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep working on that level. You can't move forward. But I'm gonna keep doing it until I achieve it. That means I end up spending more time on that game because then um, I'm not gonna let it set it down until I've achieved that thing. But in terms of business, this can be great because we will fail. There will be things that go wrong. There will be patterns that flop. There will be marketing strategies that don't work to start with, or maybe stop working. But keep trying, keep going. And at the same time, this can be a negative. Maybe sometimes there's something that's not meant for us, something that's not aligned, something that isn't for this time or this season. And it can be easy to keep trying that thing too. Keep trying to knock on the door that's not going to open. And so this can also be a lesson of really understanding, is there a reason for this? Is there a deeper message of maybe this isn't for me right now? Maybe I should change my attention, change my energy, change my focus to something else. Okay, and then this is where we have a twist. Because here now I've been thinking for, I don't know, a couple of days about these lessons. And now every time I'm playing the game, I think of something new and I'm like hyper analyzing. That might be another lesson. Hyper analyzing this game and thinking of ways that it connects to the real world, how I process things, how my brain works, my motivations, all these kinds of things. And I'm noticing that, okay, now I'm trying to focus, right? I'm trying to only do the things that it's telling me I need to get. And the stuff is all like the way that it's set up, it's like, looks like it's in piles. And so like you have to like sort through this stuff. And the only way you can sort through it is to select it. And then you have to get a pairing of 3. And so here, now I'm trying to focus. I'm like, all right, I have learned this lesson. I am going to focus. I am only going to work on those things that it tells me I need. And that's actually impossible because I have to remove some of that other stuff in order to even get there, in order to even uncover it. And so it's just maybe this tendency to go all in, like an all or nothing kind of mentality, which I tend to have a lot of. And so really this lesson for me is about balance. Like, okay, focus is important. Really choosing what I'm going to focus on. And now I'm talking about life, business stuff. That's important. That's valuable. That is so helpful in actually making progress on our goals. But there are other parts that are necessary. There are other parts of life, of business, of customer service, of marketing, of all these different kinds of things that are still necessary. So if you choose a focus for, say, the month, that doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're going to work on that whole month. You still have yourself to feed. You might have kids to feed. You might have kids to take care of. You might have sporting events to go to. So maybe let's say in a big life overview kind of thing, we're going to say my focus this month is to work on my garden. I am going to, and I don't actually have a vegetable garden right now, but maybe someday in the future. I am going to till the soil. I'm going to plant the seeds. I am going to faithfully water whatever that schedule needs to be. I am going to weed. I am going to maybe somewhere before that, I need to do research, all these things. My focus this month is the garden. We know as humans that that doesn't mean that's the only thing you're going to do in your life. You're going to cook and clean and do laundry and meet up with friends. You're going to take care of your family. You're going to have connections with your family. You're going to have phone calls, texts. You're going to have, I don't know, all sorts of other things that you're going to be taken care of. And so even when that's your focus, maybe that's your primary focus for chunks of time, that doesn't mean that's the only thing you do. And so it's important to also have the other things. And so when we come to business, this maybe can feel less obvious than with life. But it's the same. So we might say our focus this month is to grow my audience. I'm going to focus on growing my audience through my lead magnet. And so I'm going to talk a lot about that. That's what my focus is. That can be your primary, that can be almost everything you talk about for your content, because you can create all sorts of content talking about whatever the topic is of your lead magnet, and you can provide more support and information and keep telling folks to sign up for it. But that doesn't mean that's the only thing you're going to work on in your business. You might also have a pattern that's in tech editing that you need to respond to questions on. You might have folks that are DMing you or emailing you, and you're going to respond to that. You might have a project coming up where next month your focus is designing a new pattern, and this month you need to be working out with the yarn dyer the specifics of the yarn that you need. All sorts of different things. All this to say, focus is only limited. Focus isn't all in encompassing or all consuming. So focus is important. It is valuable. It helps us to make progress and really achieve goals. But balance maybe overrides that. Balance is, you have to have the other things too. So that was my 7 lessons, and then maybe an 8, I don't know what we want to call this, my musings of, I don't know if I've shared this that much on the podcast, but I think a lot about the complexities of things, how nothing is all or nothing in life, in business, etc. And so there's all these multiple angles. And so here, these discussions, these lessons that I've learned from this game, this is all really kind of under the lens of how could I be faster, more efficient, more successful in this game? And I've translated it to how could I be more efficient, more successful, more aligned in my business? And then the question that came up in my mind is, maybe it's not all about being the fastest, the most efficient, and the most successful, which I know I've embraced in a lot of parts of my life. And maybe it's more about what is our intention behind it. I feel like this is now just a really vague place to leave you at the end of this podcast. But I guess maybe it's more like, this conversation again of the filter that you're using when you take in information, when you're consuming content like this podcast or my emails or course or whatever. Take it through this filter of, is this what's most important to me? Or is this aligned for me? And so, yes, we often do. We want to improve our speed, our efficiency, our success. And there is nothing wrong with that. But we also have to maintain this sort of filter that's like, is that most important, or is there something else overriding this? What are my non-negotiables? What is most important and valuable to me? We know that there will always be obstacles along the way, whatever your destination is. It always takes a journey to arrive at the destination, especially in life, especially in business, especially in marketing. It's a journey. And we don't necessarily have a defined finished point, because once you achieve one thing, there's something else. So we maybe we're kind of on lots of mini journeys, but there's always obstacles. There's always going to be a journey to get there. And so it's also important to enjoy the journey. And I think a lot of times when we get caught up in being the best and being the fastest and being the most efficient and being the most successful and having the most patterns, or whatever it is, we can lose sight of the journey. We can lose love for the journey. We can lose enjoyment in the journey. And I think that is important too. And so that's part of why it's so important to know your why, to know what's valuable and important to you, so that you can really decipher if anything really is in alignment with you, whether that's an opportunity, whether that's a project or a task, whether that's an idea, whether that's something you've learned from somebody else. Really putting it through this filter of, is that my goal? And full life picture, full business picture. How does this fit in with other pieces? And, sometimes maybe we need to have one thing that's really pushing us towards success. And maybe we need to have another thing that's really pushing us towards being grounded, towards family time, towards self-care, whatever it is, to offset and to balance that. Like, yes, we want to be efficient, we want to be successful. And at the same time, we still need to make room for the things that are valuable and important to us that aren't efficient, that aren't successful. And I'm specifically right now thinking in terms of like art. I think it's important to leave room for creativity and for art, and for, obviously, we're creatives here. We're artists here as designers, as knitters and crocheters. And so it's not always all about being the high achiever or being the best and the most successful. So I hope that this episode gave you maybe some insights and things to think about your own mannerisms, habits, how you approach life and business. Maybe it gave you a few things that you're like, oh, wait, I do that too. And maybe I want to change that now. And if nothing else, hopefully it helped just, add to the lens at which you view the world, through which you view business, and just interact with life. It's an adventure. We're here on a journey that we're here on, and I'm excited to be sharing it with you. And I hope that you continue to find alignment in everything as you move forward. So continue to enjoy the journey and find the beauty along the way. I will chat with you again next time. Wow, thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you found it valuable, please share the podcast with a designer friend. And if you have a minute, leave a review. It's so helpful for me and means the world to me. Chat soon.